Hello and welcome to the Otakuology Podcast. I'm your host, Otaku Mike. With me, as always, is Jen, my heterosexual co-host partner.
That's me.
That's you. Yeah, that's you.
That's me.
And today we are on the what Netflix likes to say the final 2 episodes of season 1.
We're on the mend of getting out of this show.
Yes, we're on the mend. I mean, it hasn't been too bad, I have to say. You know?
Continue.
Why do you say that?
It'll all be revealed in this show.
Okay.
Bum.
But today we're looking at episodes 11 and 12 of My Happy Marriage. And we have an interesting set of episodes, I feel like. I feel like it's definitely the close of the first season, but it leaves things open for season 2, possibly. In a sense.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe. I kind of feel like this last part was like all over the place, so I don't know where exactly we're going. But hey, at this point, I'm on Willy Wonka's crazy unicorn candy horse boat thingy, and or seahorse or whatever, and just along for the ride.
Okay. Well, you want to start us off with what happens in episode 11 with the revelation of Miyo's mother?
Yeah. So
I forgot, what was her name? Is it Sumi?
Yeah.
I think it's Sumi.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry.
I don't know why it popped in my head that it was that whole the Fukumi and Fukuyu.
Fukuyu.
Yeah. Those are the names that you're supposed to focus on. Fukumi, Fukuyu.
We have Grandpappy Usuba talking his Grandpappy stuff, telling us a story.
Yeah, Grandpappy. So for me, I think that I would have to say that whenever we kind of got this backstory about like it happening, like this was probably the episode that I liked the most out of both of these.
Mm-hmm.
Given because I remember more about it.
Yeah.
The other one, I feel like there was a lot of forgetful stuff, and I just don't know.
I feel like it was very interesting revelations. It was very much retconning what we thought happened, in a sense,
Yeah, because I mean, we didn't know or anything else, which, kind of. I'm just gonna say it. I really feel like as much as you and I have watched that, it has hardened my heart in a lot of ways of things, because when things just don't make sense, I'm going to be the biggest fucking anime snob. Okay, point blank, I said that.
Okay, fair enough.
So one thing that really just butters my ass in this episode, we'll do that and then we'll get back on track, was the fact of, in this part that we're talking about, was where nobody supposedly knows about the Usuba, okay? Nobody. It's hard to find shit on them. You really don't know all this other stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, anyway, the most confusing part of this is where the Poppy Samori supposedly knew where the house was and sent letters and basically harassed the family to do this. And yet, all this time, nobody ever fucking asked this guy, like, where the fuck did you get the address from? How are you sending letters? How are you doing this? Like,
I really wonder if it was his father doing it.
I don't know. I don't know that. But I just feel like there's enough of the stuff that's here that if that's true, then somebody had to fucking know where this house was. And I think that was a spot that was kind of overlooked in this thing for the flashback, and they probably thought, hey, people are going to forget this because, you know, it's irrelevant to the main part of the story. No, it's fucking really relevant. And so, honestly, this is another thing I feel like in more modern day manga or in anime where things are not fleshed out and they're not written out as best as they should be.
Well, let's be fair.
Okay.
The light novel series and the manga are still continuing, so the story hasn't even been finished yet.
That's okay. That's okay. But this part was. So
I know this part was, yes.
So for this to be portrayed in the anime means that somebody, you know, royally fucked up, okay? And that also means if and when, because I'm sure there's an if and when, we cover the second season of this, will there also be hiccups like this in it? Like I said, I'm not gonna hold it over everything's head or whatever. But as much as we've watched and to know that this saying that and making things where like this family is like supposedly so hidden that nobody knows who it is.
Yeah.
And then to have an episode like this that completely busts the gates open on that and goes, well, somebody knew where the fuck it was, okay?
Yeah, somebody knew who they were.
How did these letters get there for somebody to harass them?
Yeah.
So, you know, at some point, like something of that. And somebody's got to know. And so I just felt like it, in this sense, it was really bad storytelling or story writing. Kind of like when we had all the stuff with B&A that just magically popped up and it was like, oh, well, we've already kind of thrown that away, but now it's coming back. Kind of the same thing for me, honestly. Yeah. I feel like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I get you because, I mean, we've, what was his name?
Kudo.
What's his first name?
Kiyoka
Kudo. That's what I want to say. Kenichi for some reason.
I've come so far because remember, I was the one that couldn't remember this shit, and now it's you.
Kiyoka spent all that time looking into the Samoris and looking into Miyo's mother's heritage,
right?
You know, the lineage or whatever. And maybe that's just it. Maybe I'm just throwing this out there. Maybe normal people didn't know about the Usubas anymore and where to find them. Maybe they had to dig for it, just like Kiyoka did.
I don't think so, because the other thing that they did is we had this whole thing where, you know, the Emperor in the next episode, which we're going to touch on this just a little bit. You know, he gets overzealous and he's like, that girl, like he knows who she is. He's never met her. So at some point he's had to have known she's had this power and he's had to have known of the Usuba. And that was one of the first things I was like, oh yeah, well, you know, I could see that being part of the story. Like the Emperor's so high up and he knows where the Usubas are.
Well, the Usubas worked for the Emperor.
Yeah. But now you're telling me that there's some random Joe Schmo Samori that was able to get a hold and basically keep bitching until he got one of their hands in marriage. Like, that's where I'm confused at, buddy. Like,
okay, I mean, when we get to that point, we could talk about that, you know.
Yeah, well, we're at that part right now.
No, okay.
Yeah, we're at that part right now because this is the part where we're talking about the Samori reaching out for them when the flashback.
Well, you didn't even talk about like how like the Usubas were like in financial strain because of their company. They had a bad deal going on, you know, stuff like that, you know.
I don't think I recall that.
Yeah, so what happens is like so what happens is apparently they had like a business trade thing go wrong. The Usubas did.
Yeah.
And they were going to basically lose their company, and the Samoris come in basically and be like, "Hey, we'll take on the debt of your company to save it, but you have to give us your daughter's hand in marriage." Is what happened. And what happened was, so Papa Usuba, he rejects this offer numerous times. And we find out later on that Sumi, I almost said Yumi, Sumi is basically, we find out that she's ill. We don't know exactly what she has, but she's ill. And they don't really want the Usuba bloodline passed on to a different family. That's what their concern is,
Yeah.
basically, or what his concern is, and for her health too. Even though we don't know what it is. And so what Sumi does is she goes behind her father's back, and she basically is like, "Here, I'll take the deal, but you have to help my family out." And her father gets really mad and stuff like that, and he's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you did this."
Yeah.
Which leads to all contact getting cut off with Sumi and her father and her family, basically, when she
Yeah.
goes over to the Samori family. And the Samoris, all they want is the Usuba bloodline, just like Koji's family did as well. Specifically, like the his dad, like Mr. Samori's father, he made a point, like when they got married, he was like, Koji, you know what this is? This isn't just a political thing. Like, we need the Samori bloodline. Like, we're counting on you. We're counting on you, Sumi. And you're like, yeah, you know, I know this is going on, whatnot, you know. So like, there's more on the line, and they even after Miyo's born and stuff, which that whole scene when Miyo is born,
Yeah.
it's very, I don't want to say it's tough to watch, but it's like kind of realistic, I feel like, for childbirth. But
Yeah.
just in the woman's aspect, you know, it being so hard. But seeing the look on Mr. Samori, I don't remember her dad's face, Samori's face. He's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're here." You know, this and that. He's not even concerned about his wife's health at this point. He
This
just
is true.
cares that he got an heir. That
Yeah.
that is all he cares about, and then the fact that she might have power. Because we also find out that we hear them arguing at one point that, oh, she hasn't shown any power, Miyo has, and this and that. You know, you need to father another heir. Which I wonder if before Sumi died, if he was trying to father another heir.
Oh yeah, I bet.
You know, because it was like a
Yeah.
race against time. Because everybody knew she was sick.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, which for somebody to be sick, coughing up blood, and she like gave birth to a child, that's pretty insane. You
This
know,
is true. Yeah.
like what kind of magic was at work here? You know.
You know what kind of magic was at work there? True love.
I don't know about true love
Yeah.
because I don't think Mia's dad loved his mom. I loved her mom
Yeah.
at
No, I
all.
I could agree with that.
Yeah, because they even talk about at one point, like if we don't have an heir with the Usuba bloodline, like it's gonna like lower our house standings.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
But I mean, I think that in this part, that was another good thing, showing like that whole thing, which we've talked about it before, about how like you get married for status, you don't actually get married for love.
In this world,
Yeah, yeah,
and sometimes in our world too, some people do that, but in this world, it's all for status and power.
yeah,
You know? But anyways,
yeah.
continue. Sorry.
Um. Well, so we were still in that flashback that you were talking about,
Yeah,
and everything, and that her mom saw that, you know, she had this dream sight thingy that we know that she's gonna get,
yeah.
and you know, her mom stored it away in the oak tree.
It was a cherry tree.
Whatever, it's a tree, okay,
It was a big cherry tree.
okay, trees are trees, okay.
Which I wonder what tree she stores it at, because
Yeah, you know, this would have been a really good time for you to have went. I'm the Lorax. I speak for the
I'm the
tree.
Lorax and speak for the trees. But here's the thing: so we see her seal the power away
Yeah,
in the tree at the Samori household.
right, right.
we know this Mori tree gets cut down and like whatever destroyed.
Right.
But when we see Miyo unlock the power later in this episode, she's at the tree at the Usuba household.
So I'm going to stop you right there. I don't think she unlocked the power at the Usuba household. I think whenever the tree crumbled originally, when they went back to go look at
she
it,
unlocked the power fully.
whenever. Because remember when she touched it and that wave came over it, and then the thing just crumbled into dust?
Or maybe you could say when she was at the Usuba house, she fully accepted the power.
Well, I think the Usuba tree is what gave her the ability to be able to see the vision of it.
Okay.
Of what happened.
Okay, because she kind of like drains the power from the Usuba tree. That's what I was wondering exactly.
I don't think she even drained power from the Usuba tree. I think just somehow the other tree, which may have been like something that her mom would have brought as like a remembrance from the Usuba household, was a part of that tree maybe originally. And so when the other one died that she sealed the things in, she was still able to recall the memories from that one because they were the same tree.
Okay, maybe she took like a seed from it,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And planted it,
Yeah.
But yeah. And so we get this interesting scene where Arata is talking to Miyo, and Miyo's like, I really want to see Lord Kudo. I need to talk to him. I said some terrible things. I was wrong. And Arata's like, basically, he says, no, you're not going to go see Kudo. You're going to stay here. It's my duty to protect you. And she starts talking about like how she wants the kimono that was given to her by Kiyoka.
I wonder if she ever got that back.
She does. She gets it back.
Okay. I didn't remember seeing her getting it back.
Yeah, she gets it back. I want to say she gets it back at the end of episode 11.
Okay.
Because she's wearing...
I remember he kept asking her about it, or she kept asking him about it, and it was like, no, we can't give it back to you. No, we can't give it back to you.
You have to wear these specific garbs.
Yeah.
And so, this scene kind of creeped me out a little bit.
This really creeped me out.
Because we go from like, oh, like I'm going to protect you and stuff like that because you're the dream maiden or whatever they called her. I don't remember what exactly they called her. Yeah. What's the dream maiden they called her?
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
And so he's like, yeah, I'm going to protect you. Even I'm possibly going to become your husband. And I was like, what the fuck?
I mean...
we called it. He wants to diddle his cousin.
It's not exactly wrong in Japan, I guess.
I guess at that time. And
I was like... In general, I think you can marry your second cousin.
I was like, oh my God. Like...
Yeah. It was a little weird.
Yeah, it was really weird, and I'm glad we didn't go for him trying to marry her like scenario. It was
no shit.
Like I was like, no, we're not going down this road. Please, we're not going down this road. We're gonna have some weird rivalry between Kiyoka and Arata to see who can have her hand in marriage,
Yeah.
But we end up...
it's going to be a three-way because it's going to be Arata and Koji and
Kiyoka,
and they're all going to be like, we love you.
Oh, yeah. The weirdest harem ever.
Right. Well, the worst thing about that is if that's what we're at with 3, what's going to happen, later on, because we're only in season 1.
Oh yeah, true.
It could get way more weird.
You're right. That'd be a weird reverse harem. But yeah, after this scene, we get this nice touching scene where we have Miyo talking to her grandfather about like her worries and stuff like that, and talking about how like I'm part of your family. I'm here for you, and it's a really interesting. Like I don't know if he's fully telling the truth to her at this moment, like that he actually cares
with Arata.
Yeah, with Arata and stuff like that.
So, do you want my 2 cents on that?
All right, all right.
Okay, so I think yes, in some extent, Arata does care.
I
I
meant her. I
think.
meant her grandfather. Like her grandfather starts talking to her because he obviously knows that he's sad.
Oh, okay, okay.
Like we all know, Arata's doing this because he feels like he's obligated by duty.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was like.
Yeah,
Uh, um, I'm unsure. With Grandpa, I'm unsure on that. I do feel like there is something there, but I feel like his is also kind of in the spot of a sense of duty and not upholding his fatherly duties to her mother because of whenever he cut like ties all the way.
yeah. Because he said he felt guilty. He still feels guilty about what happened.
Yeah, so I think that's what that was because I mean he's probably also got the whole thing in his mind of like, oh yeah, also like I wasn't there when your mother died, I didn't help out at all, like he was just
You
gonna sweep the whole thing under the rug.
you had to live that horrible life because we weren't
Yeah,
involved.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I also feel like he can say all this stuff, but he also was the person that in no shape or form tried to knock her out of it because they didn't really care honestly until she got her power.
yeah,
But I mean, based off of their standard, like you're not even in that standard anyway until you show your powers. So
yeah.
you
And
know,
after Miyo like fully unlocks her powers, we have this scene where she's with her grandfather and Arata shows up, and basically what we find out is we also find out that Kiyoka ended up getting wounded fighting the grotesquerie.
yeah,
That was pretty. That was a pretty cool scene of them fighting the grotesquerie and stuff.
he saved what's his face.
Goda,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, Goda should have just taken that shot, and Goda should have been the one in the coma. Just saying.
Well, and I
Just saying.
also want to know, like, we've seen grotesqueries and everything else, and this one looked totally different. So
A little bit, I would say.
this one looked a little more like what was his face? Hibio? No, that's not it. The ninja guy from Rurouni Kenshin.
I think so. Kind of. I haven't seen that show in a long time.
Yeah, it was the ninja guy with the white mask. That's who this one kind of looked like. I felt like to me,
Uh-huh.
like if he had become like a grotesquerie, because this one had like those sleeves, like the
Yeah.
Beetlejuice sleeves, but
Yeah. But we find Kiyoka gets injured, put into a coma because he was saving Goda. And Rata shows up and he's like, "Oh, Kyoka's been defeated." And Miyo's like, "What? What are you talking about? Like, what's going on? What's wrong with him? I need to go see Lord Kudo." And she starts running off. And he's like, "No, I can't. I can't let you do this." Arata says, and she's like, "Well, you don't have to. Just let me fucking go." Basically, and he's like, "No, you can't because we made a deal with the Emperor that basically you have to stay at our house at all times." And I also find confusing you have to not have any contact with anybody with special abilities, but her family has special abilities. So is that different than just coming into contact with other people with special abilities?
yeah, I don't know.
And she's like, "No, you're not gonna win this." And then we get this weird scene where Grandpappy Usuba decides to pat Copperfield on Arata's ass, and he's like, "Look, this is what's gonna happen. Okay, I give y'all my blessings that you can leave, basically, and we'll figure out what happens with the Emperor later."
Yeah,
And so they go off. They go to where Kyoka's staying. She busts in. It's a big emotional moment, and
and
they
his
basically
ass
say,
is out.
"What?
His ass is out.
His ass is out. His ass is out." And we've come to find out that she is going to dream. Is it dream walk? No, dream sight into Kiyoka, of Kiyoka is what she's
Yeah,
going to do to try to get him out of the the grotesquerie coma. And so this moves into the next episode.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of torn because I thought we were going to build up to something really big for some reason in my head. But this doesn't seem as big as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I didn't hate things in this next episode. So getting into it, we get this really cool scene of Kiyoka fighting in this like dream world forest, which I think this scene is very well animated.
Yeah. I liked this one whenever they first did it in the 11th episode at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they kind of did it and it was like, while you were watching it, it was like, oh my God, shit's about to happen. And it's like, oh my God, it is happening.
Yeah. Which is weird to think so many bad things would happen in a coma. Basically.
No shit. No
Like,
shit.
But yeah, this is a really cool scene. I like this fight scene between the grotesqueries. Kiyoka is getting a run for his money. He's having to hold them off. He hears Miyo at one point. He's like, "Oh my God, she's here! I can't believe she's here." But Miyo ends up waking up in the grotesquerie dream site world, whatever you want to call it. I have to say, when she goes into the dream site world, I really like that scene where it looks like she's going into like a giant black hole vortex thing. Like,
yeah,
I thought that was really cool. Like, it just looked visually stunning.
Yeah, there was parts of watching this that I kind of had to like tell myself, like, all right, we're actually going into a dream world, so there may be things in here that don't make a lot of sense.
And some things didn't, I feel like.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Which, then we get to the point where he, we get to the part where like he's fought some of the things and he's kind of moved on and all that other stuff. And then she runs in and finds him, and I totally was like, "Oh my God, he's gonna stab her."
We didn't even get to the point, the really interesting point, I feel like, which is before that, where Miyo is at the Samori house, and she's like walking around it, and she hears like these doors opening and stuff like that, footsteps, running, laughter, and she sees a little child version of herself. And I like this scene. I really like this scene because I feel like it really helps with Miyo's character growth in a way, and how it's to show how far she's come.
Yeah.
In this aspect, to where we see Miyo before everything happened to her. She's in her old kimono. She looks kind of disheveled a little bit, and she's talking about how, we can't go back to Lord Kiyoka. We can't do this. We're not good enough. All we know is pain and sadness and sorrow. And you see this I call her evil Miyu is what I call her, basically.
Evil Miyu?
Evil Miyu is what I've been calling her. And she's like, no, like, you gotta stay here. We're this is what we're meant to do. We're meant to like not be happy. And like we see these she throws these ropes at and I think she's in the specific room. I think she's in the room where she got tied up and like kidnapped.
Oh yeah.
I think it is. And she like throws these ropes at good Miyo, and they turn into like these thorn vines, and like they're kind of cutting Miyo. It's like, we have to stay here. I'm gonna make you stay here. And Miyo's like, no, I'm not staying here, just like she did when she was kidnapped. Yeah. She was like, this is what I want. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to go back get Lord Kudo. It was a very like powerful scene, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, it was a very powerful scene, very well animated, very well voice acted. Like, I felt it. There's almost like, the two halves of Miyo. you know, the one that would doubt herself at the beginning of the season, and like the one we have now where she is like, this
Yeah,
is me, this is who I am.
like she Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde herself.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Is what I feel like she did. Sorry, I had to take a drink there.
Oh, you're fine.
I'm sorry. But yeah, I felt this was a very powerful scene. It was probably my favorite scene. Um, one of my favorite scenes in this anime, I feel like. Because it just to see how far the character has come from being this weak, meek, frail person who just took shit from everybody to like, you know, not taking shit from anybody.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. Yeah, for part of this, I kind of felt the same way on that, but I don't know. I mean, I just thought it was kind of weird. Like, we had so much flashback. For me, I felt like the whole thing with the mom flashback was part of this flashback as well. Yeah. So like it just really ran together. I don't feel like the spacing in this actually seems like it makes it
I really wonder if they tried to take two different story arcs and mush them together.
I could see that.
You know,
I could see that.
That's what I kind of wonder. Or maybe they only had like a allotted amount of episodes and they had to like kind of smush things together a little bit, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
In that aspect, which I don't think it's a terrible episode. Like, I really don't. But seeing them like trying to come together, and we see Miyo, she gets like this new outfit, which is a pretty cool outfit. And she starts to like get a hold of her powers. And we find out that the Emperor shows up to the guys who were like praying and trying to release the grotesqueries or whatever.
Right.
Because they were like, oh, you know, she's getting her powers and we can't have this happen. And come to find out, like, the Emperor like loses his vision. And that's why he's so worried, or his premonition, or whatever you want to call it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he loses his powers, his like premonition powers. And that's why he's so worried about Miyo and stuff. Which, you know, I guess he has a right to be. I mean, he's a weird old guy.
That's true. I thought it was kind of weird too, where like everybody like was on board with him for the longest time, and then it seemed like everybody just fucking jumped ship this episode.
They were like, nope.
Sorry, we can't agree with that. That's not something that's real. It's not happening. Okay.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. Which is funny to see, like. So she ends up finding Kudo, which is a really nice scene, and the Emperor goes to, I think he goes to the grave is where he goes, and he's like no, I gotta take care of this because you guys aren't taking care of this, basically. And he like summons this big horde vortex thing of a grotesquerie, and you know, Miyo's like, you know, oh, do you trust me, Kiyoka? And she's like, hold my hand. Which I was like, is this the first time they've held hands in the dream? Is this the first time they've held hands?
Yeah.
Is it? I was like, they're not even technically holding hands because it's the dream world. It's not real. Even though I don't know if it's real. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
But this scene was pretty cool because I liked seeing Miyo use her powers, even though it's in such a little capacity at this time.
Yeah,
because I figure she doesn't have like any like real world affecting powers. I'm guessing all of her powers are in the dream world.
I do not know. I know that they feel like it's big in some ways, but I feel like there's more there that we just don't exactly know yet.
Probably. You're probably right on that aspect. But I like this scene where like the Emperor grotesquerie thing like tries to get them, and it's like a big old vortex, and like she just like evaporates and destroys the grotesquerie, which ends up blowing up the Emperor in the real world, which makes me wonder, is the Emperor dead? Like, did they kill the Emperor?
I don't think they killed the Emperor, but The other thing is it did kind of make me feel like the other person killed the emperor.
The what?
The other person at the very end of the episode with the purple hair.
Oh, that was the prince.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because I was going to ask you when we got to that part, is that a man or a woman?
You know what? I thought the same thing when I saw him in that last episode or whatever it
Well,
was.
and the voice throws you off so much
Yes.
too. Because I was like, so...
Yeah, no, and I love this scene where they end up going back, they wake up, their friends are there. It's a very nice, touching scene. We also find out that, like I said, the Emperor lost his fortune telling sight thing. So that's why he went crazy, kind of, with the Usuba bloodline and stuff like that. Yeah. And the prince is basically like, oh, like the Emperor did all this and like all the debts are going to be paid, which I'm very curious what debt they have to pay.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it is, but we get this. I like this scene where we get them home and, they're like, we're finally home. Oh, this one scene I really liked was when Arata leaves and Miyo goes and she's like, I can't go back with you.
So, let me ask you this real quick. What happened to his glasses?
So she pushed him off his face.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was sitting there, I was like, I missed something.
Like he just never picked them up.
I'm like, so were his glasses fake?
So when she was trying to leave their house, she kind of like pushed him and like knocked his glasses off.
Okay.
Yeah, and you see them fall to the floor, and he kind of looks at him, but he never goes and picks them up.
What a dick!
And he kind of like ruffles his hair, and he gets a new hairstyle.
Oh my god! That's how you go through real character development nowadays, guys.
So, see, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. I don't like his character development. I felt like his character development was a little too rushed and forced.
So, I'm actually glad that you said that.
Okay.
Because that was one of my biggest complaints, I feel like, with all of season 1, is that we kind of got this thing, and I feel like we got like 6 really solid episodes of the Samori household and them being enemies and whatnot. Yeah. And then we kind of got like these 2 episodes of like peace, or 3 episodes of like peace and shit like that. Instantly, we jumped into like 3 or 4 episodes of good guy, bad guy shit with the Usubas.
Yeah.
And it seemed like you said, it started real fast and it ended real fast.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. And I'm just going to say this too, because I know we've talked about some of the next shows that we're going to watch.
Yeah.
I think more modern day anime and stuff just rush the shit out of things. I don't know if it's that way in the manga, but it seems like there's no solid pacing when
I would say
it comes through.
I would say when the show started, it had pretty good pacing.
Yeah.
Towards the end, I feel like it did start to falter.
Yeah. Well, and do you think it's just the whole day thing? Like they felt like they had to rush in some ways because of how everything happened?
I think they were probably allotted a certain amount of episodes. They had to fit everything in.
Okay. Because I feel like when we started at episode 1, I felt like it was like being a student driver and you're learning how to like hit the gas, but your teacher's in the other seat and he's also got his foot on the brake. Like you're not going anywhere. So you're just doing that whole like, and we kind of did that a little bit. I felt like, not really an on and off, but it was like you said, kind of an even pace of this going on. And then we get all the way to this episode. I feel like we're in like a freaking Ferrari going 300 miles an hour and like, hey, you're coming up to a bridge being out. Well, I don't know how to stop.
I feel like the first half of this season had a really nice build up.
Yeah, yeah,
Had a very good beginning, middle, and ending. Once the Samoris left, I kind of felt a little bit that we were a little aimless
I
at
agree.
times.
I agree.
I don't think necessarily it wasn't like they weren't the new villains of the Emperor and the quote Usubas, if you want to call them villains.
Yeah,
Like, it's not terrible. I mean, I feel like they could build off of more of that because
yeah.
their story technically isn't done
Right, right,
with the Emperor.
right, right.
Exactly. I just feel like maybe we just got a half of a story. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I do feel like that Arata's character arc went really fast and he turned really fast. He went from heel to face in like an episode.
Ooh,
Two episodes.
good wrestling reference there, buddy.
Thanks. uh,
um, no, I mean, I just also feel I fully agree with you on that. I feel like it just went way too fast.
Because he went from
And
like, I have to protect you and marry you to, yeah, you can go.
yeah, see, and when here's the other thing I felt like that it happened really fast, and I feel like we're getting away from it. And I'm going to compare it again to my other favorite shojo of the
Uh,
stuff. Um, but like I felt like in this that the kind of like love building part between both of them like almost has ended
between who?
between Miyo and like
Kiyoka?
they haven't gotten married yet, but I feel like they're in that area like, hey, we know this is what's gonna go on, okay? Like we know. We
Yeah.
know. You know, whenever I felt like what this would be better as is more like my love story where you had this kind of build up the whole time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I like that Mio's still like, yeah, I screwed up, you know, I need to go talk to him, I need to do all this. But like,
Yeah, they both say that.
yeah, I feel like we've lost part of the connection of like what we enjoyed with them trying to,
Well, the thing
because
is,
they had that whole awkward thing, and then we get to the end of this, and it's like we're now eating all of our meals together, and we're doing all
well,
of this,
here's the
and
thing. I feel like is like we're getting to that point where like they're gonna have like an actual relationship now.
yeah,
Because did you watch the end of this for to the end credits?
yeah,
Like to the very end?
yeah,
So you saw the ending where they went to the party?
yeah,
The party that she trained for half this season to go to and we never got to see the party?
yeah.
Do you know that's because that's the OVA episode?
That's bullshit.
And apparently in that episode, Hazuki has a son, and you get to meet Hazuki's son. And Hazuki's son has a hate on for Miyo for some reason in that episode. I read the description and stuff. It was like I was like, why wasn't this included in this season? I know it's an OVA, so there's like different licensing agreements with that.
Yeah.
But like, are we gonna see this OVA in the next season?
Yeah, are we going to see her son at all?
Yeah, like, is he gonna be a bigger character in the show? Like,
Is he going to be relevant?
are we just gonna gloss over this OVA episode that kind of continues the story? Because the whole her studying to, be a proper lady was a
Well,
big thing.
I'm just going to say, since this is on Netflix, I'm going to say no.
Probably not.
We're not going to get that episode. Now, if this was done through Hulu, then I would say yes, that they were probably going to make it like a Christmas special or something like that and throw out the episode. But it being through Netflix, I don't think we'll get an OVA because I've never felt like they've ever included an OVA unless it was one of those. This OVA is actually in the thing. Well, we've already done season one.
The only
if it's not on
thing.
there.
The only thing I saw to ever include OVAs
Yeah.
was, I think, Seven Deadly Sins. and that included they included the OVAs for that.
I have no idea.
No, I'm just telling you, that's what it was like between season 1 and 2. They put out a couple OVAs,
Yeah.
and they put them on Netflix as like a little thing.
No.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if we get that. Maybe they'll put out an extra episode. I don't know.
About
But
to say, because I don't ever remember Seven Deadly Sins of being on Netflix.
well, I mean, it's worth not remembering because it's not a good show.
Forget you, buddy. I like the manga.
But yeah, like my whole thing is like we didn't technically get all the story. Like we're missing this next episode, which
Yeah.
they allude to at the end of this episode.
We paid to go see the full movie, and you cut off the last 15 minutes of it for us.
We wanted to go to the fireworks factory.
How does it end? Yeah, how does it end?
We wanted to go to the fireworks factory. Never got to go to the fireworks factory. Okay.
We wanted to see Charlie's decision on if he took over the chocolate factory.
Yeah. You know, like I mean, maybe Netflix didn't want to spring for the extra money. I don't know. But I'll be interested to see if it pops up in the next season. I really am. And even if it's going to be relevant, I don't know. But we'll see. But all in all, what's
my scale?
After watching all of season 1,
What's my scale?
I'm gonna say 1 to 10.
1 to 10.
Yeah. Give me your final thoughts on this.
My final thoughts?
Yeah.
My final thoughts?
Yeah, on season 1.
Honestly, I could take or leave season 2. After watching this, like it was good enough, it was entertaining, but I mean it leaves me feeling the exact way as B&A did. Like I don't want to go back and I don't want to rewatch this or do anything else like that. Like I will take the first 6 episodes and I would religiously watch that because I felt like we get all the feels, we get all this other stuff. And at one point in this last episode, I really feel like the female voice actress from Miyo was gone because we had this other person with like a deeper voice, or somebody got sick and didn't record for a while.
So are you sure?
Voices sounded different.
Are you sure that wasn't her mom? Because her mom and her look exactly alike.
No, it was her because it was like right here at the end.
I mean, I think it was the same person.
So I don't know, but it sounded different. I mean,
because she changed her voice, Jen.
Whatever, fuck that. You don't change characters' voices. I mean, the only way that you change voices is if you go through puberty, and she's far enough from that. So argue with me, Otaku Mike.
So you're telling me when season 2 pops off, you don't want to cover it.
I'll cover it, but I just want you to know I'm going to be that dirty Pete that's going to sit there and be like, man, this so sucked.
So I'm going to say I think the first half was a lot better than the second half.
See, look, we agree on something.
Do I think it is a terrible show? No, I don't think it's a terrible show at all, actually.
As a whole?
I think they just needed to tighten up parts of the second half of season 1, and I do feel like it was honestly rushed a little bit. I like the characters of Kiyoka and Miyo. I like those characters. I think they're interesting characters, and I do want to see where their relationship goes and what barriers or blockades get put in front of them. I mean,
I'm telling you, if it's a story arc that only lasts 3 episodes, I don't want it.
Okay.
I don't want it. I don't want if it's going to be like, oh yeah, we're going to have a villain for 3 episodes. We're going to develop, have the whole climax of the thing happen, and then him turn into a friend or some kind of bullshit like that. I don't want it.
I was really interested to see when the Samoris got taken off the table.
Yeah. To
see where we could go, and I feel like we did go into an interesting direction, but I don't feel like...
See, I would have actually loved, even though that they were there, to have Papa and stepmommy Samori somehow come back
Yeah.
and have the conflict that we have, like a whole episode on it. I wouldn't even care. On the conflict between the Samoris and the Usubas. I would love that. And then if we had a second episode where that conflict kind of did that and it stressed Miyo out or whatever, and
I would.
somebody had to send a Shikigami or whatever to get not Kyo, uh, name
Koji?
Koji, not Koji, the other one.
Kaya?
No, the husband guy.
Koji's dad?
No, the main guy with the long.
Kiyoka.
Yeah, okay, Kiyoka. Have to go send something for Kiyoka, and he was the one that kind of broke it up.
So here's what I want for season 2.
We also Koji's brother didn't seem like he was fucking relevant anymore.
No, he got relegated to side character real fast.
Whenever we're sitting there watching it and you see him sitting at the bedside, I was like, wait, who the fuck is that? Oh yeah, no, that's Koji's older brother. Wait, he has no lines. He's just in here.
Yeah, he's just there.
Like if I wasn't paying attention, he wouldn't have been there at all. Okay.
Yeah. So this is what I want for season 2.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, we need to go into addressing like what is her abilities, like full abilities. I want to say.
Okay.
And two, I want a encounter or a whole episode dedicated to Miyo and her father putting him in a room and like talking it out.
I don't see that happening.
We still have a needed apology.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
And I want her stepmother to die.
I'm just going to tell you. And I want her stepmother. I'm just going to tell you, I don't see that happening because of how this first half and second half go together. Like I was telling you, I felt like the first half was really well put together. Everything else,
I also need an episode where it just focuses on Kaya and what Kaya's doing, so I know how much of a shit life she is living.
Oh my god! No, we'll figure that out at some point. But
she can die too.
I also need I need that, and I just need all the stuff to be relevant and worked out.
Oh, and they need to get married.
That's what I need. I just need everything to be relevant and worked out.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I like the first half of this. I'm not going to lie on that. The first half, it was
good. It was really good. It was really good.
Like almost every time you and I were given 5 out of 5, or one of us would do 5 out of 5 and the one would do 4.5.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty good for one out of the gate to be holding such a high position as when we combine our scores of a 9.5 or a 10. Yeah. The whole first part. But this whole second part, we started giving it, 7s. We started giving it lower scores, things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's problems.
It started out really, really strong.
Yeah.
Out the gate. And I mean, one thing with a lot of mangas, they start to dip and stuff, and some of them have really hard times of having actually good endings.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But we'll have to wait and see, and exactly where we're going to go. I
don't know if we'll wait and see. I'm just saying.
Okay, fine.
I don't know. But like I said, I would probably say the first half, if I split my score up this way, I would say the first half I'm going to give it 5 out of 5. I'm not going to budge on that. It was perfection. It was amazing. Sure, I had a few gripes here and there, but it was never enough for me to count it fully out.
So we're talking about, we'll call it the Samori arc.
Yeah. I mean, even up to creepy cousin guy catching her and be like, you're not being taken care of well enough.
Hey, let me plant my seed in you. We're gonna have
So,
Usuba babies.
and then, so, to that point, and then I want to include the one battle scene where it
Oh
was
yeah,
Arata and
Kiyoka.
Kyoka. I want to add that into it. And then a little bit of this episode 11. But
Yeah.
just a little bit. But the rest of everything else on this, I felt like was bullshit. If I cut the fight out and everything else, I mean, honestly, the second half, I can give it is basically a 1. I
Ooh.
hated this second half. It was fucking stupid to me. It was over the top rushed. It didn't make sense in a lot of places. You're bringing up history that you've already told us the origin story of. Nobody knows this stuff. Like I would have much loved for them to give us something else, like more along the lines of like Ninja Scroll or one of the other ones like that has that love story, aspect and everything else like that. But like I could have been fine with that. But the fact of you gave me, you know, all I asked for was basically like tomato soup and a grilled cheese, and then you bring me like basically like slop off the side of the road. Like, sorry, like, and I don't know if we split these into budgets or whatever. Like, did you blow your full budget on the fight scene? Like, what?
Question: do you
What?
think this is because we don't really interact with shoujo stuff that much?
No, I read.
Because
I have tons of shojo. I know
because
what stuff is.
according to shoujo fans on the internet, uh, male anime fans are not supposed to like read shoujo, touch shoujo, watch shoujo. It's not for them.
So I don't know who the fuck says that, but here we go. Are you ready for this?
All right.
We're gonna almost ASMR this, okay? So there's plenty of people that are that say that, and do you realize that shoujo is out of your age range by a shit ton? So I don't think I want to fucking hear that. Of, oh my god, it's not for boys. That sounds a little sexist to me. Shots fired.
You don't remember that happening?
Yeah, I think people are fucking childish when they say shit like that.
You remember? I remember that specifically.
And I'm only going to tell you this in circles of things. And this is one of the things that kind of butters my chaps on some things, is when people say things like that and they overstep their bounds, and then there's always somebody, and for whatever fucking reason, it's usually me, that people I go, didn't you just say like all men or all da 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 da, and it's not for this group or whatever? And then you took a step back and you said, oh, it's okay, Jacob can read it. What the fuck did you just say? I'm telling you. That's one of the things that always gets me when they're
I just remember that was a big thing. Like,
yeah.
A couple years ago, remember when they were like so thirsty for like having shoujo manga or whatever it was? I think it was shoujo manga, right?
No. I don't think that's honestly that big of a problem, because those are also going to be the girls slash, I mean, I guess I'm going to say girls because you have an outdated mindset, but I'm also going to say ladies because you're also too old to be reading the shit.
According to the demographics.
Yeah. The other thing is most of the older shoujo that got them hooked into it was also mostly rape culture towards men and women, and they ate that shit up. So, especially when it pertained to basically like homosexual relationships, and there, when you actually get and dive into any of that, like most of that is really toxic stuff, and yet all of them are like, I love it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear, oh, well, you're a boy, you shouldn't be reading this. I'm a guy with standards, and
Any
you're reading manga about rape and
anyway,
enjoying it.
anyways,
Hmm.
anyways,
Hmm.
anyways. Even though I had problems with this, I want to see what happens in season 2. Like
Okay,
I'm invested.
so now I have a question for you.
What?
Do you think that you should be watching this since show just meant for girls, buddy?
You know,
You're like, I didn't think this question would come on to me, but
I have to say, we've talked about this before. I
yep,
personally do not think demographics matter anymore,
right.
and people who hang their hat on demographics, honestly, like are like a thing of the past. Like they're like the old dinosaur. Like like back in my day, we only read certain manga because it was only allowed by certain genders. I think that gender barrier is down, and I think honestly we should focus on genre more than demographics.
Yeah, I'm sure those are the same people that would tell you, "Hey, buddy, you shouldn't be reading like uh, hentai manga or whatever." And then they're probably reading like 50 Shades of Grey or Fabio books or something like that too. I mean,
I had plenty of people tell me not to read hentai. So
even though they read books like that.
even though or it was weird. I know we're going on like a tangent. It was weird. So like back when I was doing YouTube,
That
I would
makes our
have
that's what makes our show the best is when we
I
go on
was
tangents.
I was reviewing hentai, and people are like, "Oh man, you're like gross for reading and reviewing hentai." And the people used to be like, "Oh man, like etchy stuff makes me really uncomfortable. I don't like it. I don't like it when it's in my manga." And I'm like, "It's just fan service. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's service for the fans."
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you see, and like some of the people that like said things like that to you, I always laughed because people that said that to you were the same people that were reading shojo that was under the skies of like banana fish
yeah,
or um I don't there's a handful of other ones like and it was put out and it was like, oh, that's okay or whatever, but like strongly, that's why there's two types of main characters in a lot of things. You have the kind of like weak, submissive guy, and then you have the more like quiet, brutish guy. I
yeah,
mean, there's
or
plenty of.
the pervy guy.
Well, I just mean that in like
Yeah,
homosexual. Like the pervy guy is usually the submissive one.
and like it was really interesting, like to see like maybe it's I was just comfortable reading that stuff,
Yeah.
and like I always felt like people who had a problem with like more adult titles are honestly not comfortable with their own sexuality and like sex and stuff like that.
So would you say, and you're probably going to hate me for saying this,
Okay,
you're going to be like, you dick. Would you say that some people that you feel like that have problems, the reason why they feel like they can hide behind the skies of shojo is because they still want to act like kids at heart?
maybe
Thus, that there are more people that
you
are
could
out
you
there.
could possibly say that about shonen people who still read shonen manga.
No, that's different
How is that different?
because it's fighting.
Yeah, but you could say they still want to be kids at heart because a lot of those books are geared more towards like
No, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they hide behind the skies of the name shojo.
maybe I don't know.
When there are plenty of shojo from back in the day that should have actually been josei.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's probably possibly the case, but I don't really read josei or shojo. I'm really stick to like seinen.
I usually read everything.
Well, I mean, I don't read a lot of manga anymore.
Well,
as much
that's
as I
true
used to.
too. That's true too.
So I don't really keep up with all the different new titles.
You just go, hey, look, this book has boobies on it.
Which, I mean, I've read some shoujo, a little bit of shoujo, and I reviewed some shoujo on my channel, my
Yeah.
YouTube channel,
Yeah.
here and there, and it's not terrible.
No, well, and we've had the discussion before. I agree with you on the whole demographic thing. It should be completely cut out. I think you should just really lay stuff out as a genre because honestly, like, we don't do that with music.
Yeah.
And I know that there are plenty of songs because I have nieces that listen to, songs that are talking about getting all up in that thing and all that other stuff, and using actual words. And I'm just like, this isn't your demographic. I'm sorry. Like, so why we still use a demographic thing whenever music and other things like that aren't.
Now I can see
But I do
you.
feel like in a demographic way of that, we should be able to go in, basically sub it all out for
Now,
genre.
I think we should go with genre, but I think we should still keep like the age rating. You have kids, teens, adults type of thing.
I'm just going to say, I feel like nowadays that's irrelevant too, because you can have a 6-year-old playing a teen rated game.
True, that is true.
Because everybody's so desensitized to stuff, and yet
Yeah.
at the same time, people want to also find stuff and call it out and say, oh my God, that's XYZ.
Yeah.
Add whatever phobia you have.
You're right. Never mind. Disregard what I say. But I want to tell you a story.
Okay.
So I was at work. The other day, and we were talking to my coworker and whatnot. And my coworker is he's a little frugal-ish kind of.
Okay.
And we were talking about like video games and like pre-ordering video games because he wanted to get the new Monster Hunter game that's coming out. Monster Hunter game's like $70,
Right.
And he was talking about how, he doesn't pre-order games and this and that. And he's like, I'll just save up for it. Mind you, my coworker, he doesn't pay any bills because he lives with his parents.
Okay.
So we were kind of baffled, like, why would you save up the money? You could just pre-order it now that you have the money.
And then put that money back in there.
And then put that money back into your account because all he does is really just put his paycheck into his account and save it. He saves it.
Right.
And
moves
uses
saving.
Puts his savings in, like, he occasionally will touch it for food and gas, basically.
Okay.
But he was like, no, I have to save up. So he starts calculating the amount that he has to save up each paycheck, which was like, I think like $6 or $7 a month. But calculate the paychecks and stuff. And we're just sitting there baffled, like, is he fucking with us right now? Like, I understand like saving up for stuff, but saving up for something that you don't necessarily need to save up for.
Yeah.
If you have the money and money's not really an obligation, you're just a little frugal.
Right.
It was just odd. Like, I had to wrap my brain around this.
Well, he might hate me. There's this thing that's really cool for writers or like DM people. That's guilty plug. I'm gonna say that guilty plug. So if you guys ever, or somebody listens to the podcast, reach out to them and be like, yeah, the podcast brought you up. Discount. It's called the Story Engine. And it helps you basically like write or set up like story elements and things like that or whatever through like cards and taking out other things that, like, your first card could be like a mountain or a cliff or something like that, and then it gives you like your context words of it. So I got the lore, or one of the lore sections of it, where it would give me like that, so I could do like geometry and like what environments and stuff in different worlds that I made was. And I dropped like $180. So
Oh,
because I got the box set and all the expansions.
okay.
So, but
Well, I mean, it just, I don't know. It like I get saving up for something,
yeah,
but if you have money set aside in your savings, you could just pay for it. Just put the money back in your savings if you're that worried about saving
yeah, yeah. No,
money.
I agree. I agree. That's what I do, because I have kickstarted maybe like 4 or 5 projects, and I'm like, okay, well, this one I'll get paid before this next one goes out, so I know that I kind of have a rough budget of this much.
Yeah,
So no, I agree with you. Like that's kind of,
it's kind of extreme, isn't it?
yeah, that is kind of
Which
extreme.
I still don't know if he's fucking with us or not. Like, to be honest.
Knowing who you're talking about, I'd say no.
But anyways, sorry about my tangents. But you can find us on YouTube at Otakuology if you're still listening. You can reach out to us on YouTube and
Do it.
Instagram.
Follow us on YouTube.
Follow us on YouTube and
Do
Instagram.
it. We want your views.
We want your views, and we want your views on all major podcast platforms out there. So one day we will be monetized again. Just saying. We need like 1,000 listens an episode. I think it is.
Oh my gosh.
I think they moved.
So if each of you guys tell, each of our 75 followers or whatever tell a friend, then and then they tell a friend, and then they tell a friend. I mean, it
Yeah,
works
and
out.
by the time this podcast goes up, we have already selected our next episodes. We are voting on. We're either going to cover Gungrave, Chrono Crusade, or Bubblegum Crisis. Are the three that we chose. If we have a tie, we will cover those two specific anime. We will cover two at once. Just saying.
Separate times.
At separate times, not at the same time. At separate times.
I was like, wait, I don't know if I could watch two of those at the same time and regurgitate all the facts
Look,
together.
I got the box sets sitting out, and they're on my table right now, just in case.
A whale.
Yeah. But anyways, guys, thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. These episodes for My Happy Marriage. Let us know. Give us some feedback. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode. And hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah. See you next Tuesday, or see you next time.
Stay safe.